Do you want to know the single most important thing people get wrong about Juneteenth? So an oft-repeated Juneteenth narrative goes a little bit like this, right? 1865, enslaved people in states that had been part of the rebellion had already been freed 2 years ago by the Emancipation Proclamation. But in Galveston, Texas, they didn't know they were free until the US military marched in and told them about it. That is a myth, and I really hate it. So level with me here. There's no way the people of Galveston didn't know that they were already free. It was literally impossible for them to not know. They just didn't have the ability to do anything about it. Why? Because the enslavers and the other white people had decided to not act upon their freedom. Do you want proof? So this book right here, right? Julia Scott's The Common Wind, Afro-American Currents in the Age of the Haitian Revolution. So it's essentially a book about how enslaved people knew stuff back then, right? So Scott traces, for lack of better words, the gossip networks of enslaved people. You see, slavery had made enslavers lazy as hell, right? So enslavers relied on the people that they enslaved to do all the hard work of transporting goods. Think about the movement of raw materials with me for a second. So enslaved people were responsible for packing up the cash crops, transferring them to other enslaved people who brought them into depots or to the harbors. There, the people at the depots and harbors are interacting with other enslaved people who are dock workers, coal shovelers, repairmen, stevedores, drivers, and a lot of free blacks too, or free black workers, craftspeople, seamen, sailors, right? So often enslaved people heard news that was important to them, even before white people who relied more on newspapers or visits to church did. So even people from the most remote plantations had contact with black people who could access these gossip networks. No one was being left in the dark, right? So it's how, in this book, news of the Haitian Revolution spread and allowed it to sort of become successful, right? But it's also how news of Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation spread. The enslaved people of Galveston likely knew they were free even before their enslavers knew it. And since we're talking about freedom, free Palestine.